as a community can do better.
What do you want to tell your children about this moment?
We need reforms.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we stand together.
Everybody's here together, black, white, brown, everybody.
A platform for progress in our community.
We need to do a better job.
I want to show that we can be peaceful.
This is just as much our fight as it is yours.
Discussing the problems of racial inequality and solutions to combat discrimination in a conversation for change.
We'll be able to build on this.
I never in a million years thought I would embrace a cop like that.
From Wish TV, we stand together.
The protest and continued fight for justice that we're seeing, some say will hold a firm spot in our history books. What we do now will be remembered, and the Indiana Historical Society has made it its mission to keep up with our history. Newsdate's Katia Winfrey sat down with the president of IHS for tonight's We Stand Together.
Indiana's history, at least a lot of it, is documented within the 8 million items stored at the Indiana Historical Society. Yet the history is incomplete because much of it was written from one perspective. Jody Blankenship, the Indiana Historical Society president, says there's always been more than one or two sides of a story, and it's all our jobs to tell it. When you talk about the idea of history, with everything happening across the country, I hear the word, this is a historic time. Coming from your background, is this a historic time, something for us to remember?
Well, I mean, history is being written every day. I think we always need some perspective, some distance to understand the implications of that history. But yes, it's historic. I think when we look at today and we compare it to past times that have been similar, there is certainly something here that is not the usual. And so how far this goes, what are the ramifications of it, those are still playing out right now. And it's something that we need to keep an eye on. But I do think that there is something different right now than we're used to. And certainly between the pandemic, the protests for equality and against systemic racism, this is not our usual society or our usual operation. So we're living through something special right now.
And you think about the civil rights period, we often hear the phrase, if you don't remember history, you're destined to repeat it, or something along those lines. And it seems like we're kind of in that repeating history cycle. What is your hope on people taking this moment and doing something with it?
Yeah, so one of the things as a historian that I hope is that times like this will cause people to reflect, not just on today, but on the past. How did we get to where we are today? It didn't just appear yesterday. This has been building for centuries. And so with an understanding of how we have progressed, where we have come from, what has happened, where we have regressed and moved backwards, it puts today in perspective. And understanding that helps us move forward intentionally and informed. And so we don't just make those mistakes that we've made in the past because we understand what those mistakes have been. And I love the quote from Mark Twain, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme.
And the history that we do know, that's not always coming from the most diverse group of people telling the tale or setting the tone. Talk about how the Historic Society is working to change that, to bring in all these different voices to tell the story of now.
Sure, so you've heard phrases like history is written by the winners, and there's some truth to that. History over time has been written from a particular perspective, and in all honesty, that has predominantly been from a white male perspective. We are working to change that, as are our peers across the country, because we understand that that isn't a full understanding of history, that the complexity and nuance that is needed when we study our past can't come from just one point of view or one perspective. You have to understand it from multiple viewpoints. And so to do that, we have to collect the perspectives of a situation from many different points of view, whether that is based on the color of someone's skin, religion, their sexual orientation, their gender, their geography, their background, their socioeconomic status. All those things play into how one experiences an event. And to fully understand our past, we have to understand it from all of those perspectives. So the IHS has been for several years, in some cases for decades, we have been working to complete that narrative in our collection. So we have gone out and intentionally collected material from different groups, people, perspectives that aren't in the record so that we have a fuller idea of what had happened.
How do you feel about living through all of this and being able to say, I was there when this happened, I watched this unfold?
So I would say the best word I can use is surreal. We study this stuff all the time, whether it was the 1918 flu, polio, the civil rights movement at the beginning of the 20th century, the 1960s, even in other times, to have read about this, to have studied it, to have seen the evidence of the past, and then now to recognize we're going through something today, it's surreal. It does make me think that, and this is, I think, important for people to understand, 50, 100 years from now, people will be looking back on us, and they're going to ask, why did they make the decisions that they made? What did they do right? What did they do wrong? So I think as we move forward and as we move through this time, it's important to think about the legacy that we're going to leave. What are people in the future going to say about us? Did we do responsible things? Were we kind? Were we empathetic? Were we trying to build something better, or were we trying to tear things down? And that's something that needs perspective, but I think if we were all thinking about what future generations are going to come back and say about us at this time, I think it would lead us to making more thoughtful decisions right now.
Good conversation. The Indiana Historical Society is kicking off its latest project called Project Take a Stand, listening to the voices of protest. They're working on gathering elements of African-American history in Indiana to include issues of systematic racism, police brutality, and actions that stand up against these topics. They are asking to send in pictures, poetry, videos, and artwork of things depicting recent events. You can find much more about the submission process on our website, wishtv.com.
From Wish TV, we stand together. Watch, read, listen, and be a part of the conversation online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Find more episodes of We Stand Together and other podcasts from Wish TV online anytime at all Indiana Podcast Network.